going this way, bitches. All right, guys. Let's get going. Okay. Um, so this is basically a free for all to ask the leading, most influential, handsome, sexy people in the publishing space anything you want. So we have kind of some ideas, but we'll start by just opening the floor to questions about publishing. Um, if anyone asks what the best keyword is, just get up and leave right now. Okay. Or how do I market my books? No, okay, ask anything. Okay.
Uh, what does your book launch process look like? Whether it's review teams, promo services, or ads, um, free promos, review swaps, whatever.
Cool. Cool. All right. So basically, what I would do is, while the book was being written, I would email my list. It was only about 1,000, 1,500 people. I'd email them and saying, hey, the next book is, I'm currently working on the next book. This is when I'm expecting to launch it. Okay? That'd go to the entire list. I'd send another one saying, hey, the book's available for pre-order on this date, link to Amazon. Okay? I'd get the book back. Then I would send it to my advanced review team. So the PDF copy of it. Okay? 2 weeks later, it would launch on Amazon. I send them 4 emails. Book's live, go leave a review. Okay? I'd had my autoresponder resend that email a day later to anybody who hadn't opened it. Okay? A couple days later, another email, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was going to the review team because I was just hammering to get the reviews. My review team was only about 100 people. I'd get 4 to 6 reviews. That was it. Okay? And then, I'm just trying to think. Once there were a couple reviews up, I would send an email to the main list. Hey, this book's available for sale. It was ebook and paperback at the same time. Obviously, those books didn't translate well to audio. Or I just didn't even try, I just assumed. But that was basically it.
What if you didn't already have a list? How would you go about promoting your first book in a new niche?
So in the very beginning, it was all Facebook groups. So I just go into every single gaming group and talk video games for hours. Build a relationship. Some people friended me on Facebook, send me messages, whatever. But I'd go in there, and then I'd DM the admins and say, hey, I have this book. Do you mind if I just post a link? But they'd seen me for a week or two every single day, multiple times a day. So they knew who I was. I didn't just jump in there and, yeah. One group I actually had to pay every year, $50, in order to promote the book in there. So that's what I did, and I had no list, and I built it up that way.
Can I say one thing? Yeah. First thing I want to say, this is the type of disclaimer that D1 likes to make. It's simply just anything that we say. All of it is simply just our own perspectives, our own experiences, and take everything with a grain of salt and make your own opinion simply off of our experiences. Because there's a lot of ways.
There's so many, there's more than one way to kill a cat.
Yeah.
Is that the
Skin a
So I just want to point out that you can actually sell your book without any reviews. So don't assume that you have to go and do review swaps to get sales. That's not true. I would say just leverage ads and then build an audience with your ads. Have a page on your book that leads them to a way to collect their email. You could do that, 0 reviews, get sales, and slowly build your list, and you're free. You're good. You don't have to do review swaps.
I had a book. It was on pre-order. We sold about 20 odd copies on using ads, but there's 0 reviews, and it was on pre-order, and we didn't even have the book ready. We just uploaded a dummy file to Amazon and started running pre-order and ads to see if it was going to sell, and then we were going to create the book if there was enough demand. Yeah, and it sold.
One thing I will say is when you have an email list, you don't need any reviews for your books because the social proof is you. Like you being that authority figure, that's all the social proof they need. People don't need like 50 reviews on Facebook, on Amazon, sorry. So like email is a complete game changer because publishing, like people get into it because it's a business opportunity. And with any business opportunity, the reason it's an opportunity is that there are easier ways to do things. But the people who stay in the business for more than like a year, 18 months, they understand that they have to move on to running a real business and an actual business model as opposed to just like algorithms and like hacking and loopholes. Like if you want to win long term, you have to do things properly. There's no other way.
Thank you for bringing up social proof, because ultimately that's all a review is right, is social proof. If you narrow your focus on your book idea, so instead of like, I don't know, keto recipes as an example, very broad, yeah, you're competing against a very generalized topic. If you can hyper niche down, so let's just say vegetarian keto breakfast ideas, it's hyper specific. If that's what that person's actually looking for and you're able to deliver that in title and subtitle, they're gonna put their hands up and say, yes, this is the exact book I'm looking for, and the reviews really won't matter. But in a more generalized topic, yeah, you are competing on a social proof side. So if you can be hyper narrow with your focus on some of those initial books, dominate that micro kind of conversation, the social proof kind of doesn't matter. Because if somebody's looking for a specifically vegetarian keto breakfast book, as long as your title and subtitle says that, they're going to buy.
And like, should we keep going on that, or?
Yeah, I just got one more question.
Yeah.
What's the biggest mindset shift that you've noticed from when you first started with online marketing to now? Like, how do you perceive business in a different way?
Yeah, we'll just go through this. Being ROI mindset, not being scarce with your money, and realizing, I had this talk yesterday with the platinum players that if you have a 10% gain in the stock market over a year, so we invest $1,000 and we get $100 out of it at the end of the year, that's like insane returns in the financial markets. Yet there's people here that publish a book, costs them $500, and if they don't make $500 next month, they're like, oh, it's a failure. Patience and building assets at a profit. I look at myself as a digital real estate agent or not digital real estate, like digital real estate investor. Every time I put out a book or a piece of content or a video, whatever it is, it's a piece of real estate that I own that's gonna pay me dividends for the rest of my life. The reason why I think everybody here is telling you to build a brand and go deep, it's the compound effect of building those assets over time, but have patience and realize that these are assets. When you start doing shotgun approach around 10 different niches, you're not building anything. So it's patience, understand that ROI mindset, and a 10% gain at the end of the year is good money. And like I've got books that are still paying me from 4 years ago in that same niche, but it's because I built and went deep. So for me, it's like that investor mindset and ROI mindset.
So it's from the beginning to now? Yeah, like, it's just mindset. It's just understanding understanding what's important and what's not important, right? Like, I publish differently than these guys publish, but we both make money. Like, I have my strategies and they have theirs. They both work. So it's just, you can't get caught up that, oh, no, this guy's the right one who's doing, just pick the one you want to go with and go with it, right? Like, I bet there's people in this room who are still just relying on review swaps. Who was I talking to the other day when it was like that book had like hundreds of reviews, and they're like, no, people still do hundreds of review swaps. I'm like, wait, what? Really? I was blown away that people still did that, but you're like, yeah, it's never going to go away. People are just, there's always going to be the lazy people who just want that easy money, so they just don't care about long-term gains. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Oh.
On Amazon. Yeah, so it exists and it's never going to go away. In answer to your question, though, the biggest thing that I think isn't obvious immediately is when you get into anything, any sort of business for the first time, it's a very lonely pursuit, and you feel that like it's you against the world. But you will get more leverage from interacting with other people who are doing the same thing and surrounding yourself with other people. So when a lot of people like join a course for the first time, they're terrified of like revealing their keywords or whatever it is. It's also secretive. But the biggest gains you'll make is just by networking with other people and sharing like experiences. And you'll build better relationships that way, and those relationships will serve you so much more in the long term as well.
Should we go to the next question?
Yeah, let's do next.
All of you guys can answer this if you want. What were some of your biggest obstacles that you had to overcome from the start to now?
The first one that came to my mind immediately was just the fear of losing money. And in the beginning, my publishing stopped when I ran out of money. So I was literally publishing until I couldn't put more money into my business, and then my job would pay me at the end of the month like $1,200. Now I put that back into it, just kind of trusting the process and overcoming that. Like in the beginning, I put all of my money, 100% of it, into publishing. I was living at home, so I had a very lucky situation where I didn't need any money to survive, which is why it all went into publishing. So a lot of books, fast, it allowed me to scale quickly. Yes.
So for me, can you guys hear me? Yeah. It was self-doubt. Like I had a ton of self-doubt. Like, can I even do this? Is this possible for me? I would see other people do really well, and I was at it for like, I don't know, 6 months, and still nothing was like clicking. I wasn't getting very good results. So I had a lot of self-doubt, and I actually almost quit 3 times. And I had to really force myself to stick with it, stick with publishing, and really find a way that I can like get in and start actually making results. So I had a ton of self-doubt, and I had to get past that to continue.
Being scared of investing money, because like Christian said, it can all fall apart and you'll lose everything. But like that mindset won't get you anywhere. So for a practical example, for those of you who never published a book here, whatever course or training you have, follow it to the T. Do not take any shortcuts. Do not think you can do it cheaper, because by taking those shortcuts, you will just produce a terrible product and it won't sell. Because that's what I did, and my first book was awful, because I tried to do things cheaper, lazier, and just without investing as much money as I should have.
And on that note, blindly taking action on something that you know works. For me, the biggest obstacle was staying in my head too much and overthinking things and pondering the next step. It's still my biggest problem, and I think most people in the room can say that procrastination is one of those things that you battle. If you just shut up, do the work, blindly just follow it, just do the thing. Deal with the emotions later, you'll get the result. We all know what we need to do. Like, we all know how to get six-pack abs. We all know how to have $1 million. We know, but we don't do. And especially in the situation where you're just starting off, where you maybe don't have the results that you want, that creeps up even more. Like, if you are not making $1,000, if you have not made your first 1,000, like everybody in this room has his course. Without a doubt, if you just execute on it, just shut up and execute, you'll make $1,000. But like Ollie was saying, don't cheap out on the cover. If it says spend, I don't know how much it is. If it says spend $50 on a cover, just spend $50 on a cover. Don't overthink it. Don't like, just follow the process. Yeah, I think that's really it. Just shut up and do the work, and remove your emotions and energy away from it. And if you have questions and you've run into a problem, instead of you trying to figure it out, just find somebody that's done it and do the thing.
I love that. It's just how it works.
It's just how it works, yeah.
Do the thing, get the results.
Yeah. hardest part. So just do the thing. Yeah.
I have a technical publishing question about the, well, not that technical. I mean, I don't know, about the launching process. So you launch, like, let's say you launch your first book, you send it to your review team, you get the reviews, second book, same thing. Now the bundle, is it the same process? Because your review team has already seen those. Did you hear me?
We heard
Okay.
you.
Yeah, I heard
It's
you.
just for the recording.
Oh, okay.
You want to just check the mic?
Yeah, no worries.
Good.
Oh, maybe I'm just not using it
You
properly.
have to hold it like really close.
Okay.
No, I-
Should I say it again?
It would have picked it up.
Okay.
It's a good question. Yeah.
Well, what do you usually do?
I did no bundles with Blackness Guy, so I got no experience with that one. I would just publish it, run ads. Just publish it, or yeah, just because okay. Let's think about a bundle.
Yeah.
Bundles just to make more money, right? Is the customer getting any more value? Not really. They're not. So I wouldn't bother sending it to your list at all. It's just to make more money for you. So just publish it, run ads. That's it. Because it's such a great value proposition, people will buy it. Because they'll be like, oh, sweet, 2-in-1. Buy it. That's really all it is. Yeah. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Cool. Who's next?
Well, I know the twins talked about this a little bit before, but what in the world's going on with AMS ads? Like, I just don't trust the numbers anymore. Like, the dashboard tell me one thing, and then my sales tell me another thing. It's just like, I want to stop it. I mean, the sales are still coming, but I just don't go through. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, yeah, this is a great question, and it's been, I think, recently it's been more of a thing than it used to be, and so AMS, or we'll just say Amazon Advertising, AA, is not necessarily tracking every sale from your ads. And I've actually done like use cases where I will measure, like I will look at my books prior to a certain time period, and then put ads up, and then measure it for the same time period, and it's like skyrocketed results. But the dashboard on Amazon Advertising shows very few, right? And so that tells me that my ads are actually working. It's not being tracked properly. So my recommendation is that you actually look at your KDP dashboard. Don't just rely on the advertising dashboard, but look at your actual sales before you decide to be like, okay, this ad's not working. So you gotta be mindful of that not all your sales are being tracked in your dashboard for your ads. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Can I add on to that? Absolutely. Just to add on to that, with any ad platform, naturally over time, it gets more and more expensive. That's just how capitalism works. So just focus on increasing your lifetime customer value, because then you have the ability to spend more on ads. Like, ads are probably not going to get cheaper in the next 12 months. And 12 months after that, they're going to get even more expensive. But what you can do is increase your LTV. You can't control how much the ads are going to cost. But what you can do is sell more things to the same person.
Yeah, I also had one on the ads. How do you know which keywords you want to eliminate in that case if you just check your dashboard?
Well, yeah, that's the problem.
What I'm running.
You don't really know if it's not being tracked. There's actually no way of knowing. So my recommendation is that if it's getting sales, it might be worthwhile just leaving it, unless it gets ridiculous. And then if you have ads that maybe show no sales, tons of clicks, just turn it off. And if you see that sales do go down, I mean, this is super micromanagement. It might not be worth it, but that's really how you would do it. You'd pause it, sales go down, then you would, yeah, turn it on again. But really, that's the only way. Yeah.
So this is not Amazon related, but we're spending $100,000 a month right now on management across the clients that we're doing. You just hit it right on the nail. Micromanaging is not the best way to play it. It's too bad we should have recorded what we said yesterday. Like, we had a big rant about exactly this. Attribution, which is like tracking sales, is the hardest thing with advertising. Like, you think Google is great, you think Facebook is great, they're all shit. Like it's the most challenging aspect of my job is actually tracking where sales come from. If your ads look almost profitable, you're probably profitable. Like, don't try to micromanage like, oh, I lost $5 here, I lost $10 here, like on the Amazon tracking, because the reality is we're only paying for clicks, not for impressions, right? So imagine if, I don't know, we're just gonna go back to that keto, the kind of keto cookbook thing. They might be on the Amazon platform and have saw your book 20 times on ads, but never clicked your ads, and then ended up purchasing organically. That's not tracked. So trying to micromanage on a day-to-day basis is a complete waste of time. The way that we manage it internally, we just sort of bucket the keywords, like ideas, and if it looks close enough, we're okay. Because again, like, what if they jump onto your email list? What if they purchase a secondary product? You'll never know on the front end on Amazon. So I'm willing to lose money on the front end, knowing that I'm gonna potentially sell them something else. So yeah, if you're losing $20 or $30 a month on a book, run the ads, man. Like, you're getting free impressions on Amazon. If you're bleeding $200 or $300 a month, yeah, now it's time to look. But overall, don't try to hyper micromanage for pennies on the dollar. Like, just lump it into a campaign. If the campaign looks profitable, rip it. Get the free impressions.
Talk a bit about the systems you have in place for yourselves and creating efficiency in how you operate. Like, when you're sitting down to get some work done, what systems do you have in place to make sure, like Christian spoke about getting rid of the phones.
Like, I genuinely care a lot about things like that. Genuinely. Again, that's what I was talking about. Number one, the biggest one I really want to stress is your phone. Like, everyone is so unaware of how much it distracts you. The only way is to literally get completely rid of it. Completely rid of it. Huh? I don't care that you like your phone. Yeah, when you sit down to work, you don't need your phone at all. Like, it's one of those situations where there's no exceptions. It's not helping you whatsoever. Like,
So what do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah, to not have your phone with you.
Literally open the door, put it outside of the door, close the door, put it in another room.
My pulse is going up.
I know, I know.
It's not the alerts up there. Yeah, you're addicted. I just need to go check out Instagram.
You've been on the phone this whole time. You're on WhatsApp messaging people and looking at Instagram. You're scrolling through Instagram right now. It's ridiculous.
Maybe you're not holding my attention.
Well, it's just Emeka sucks at this stuff. Like, specifically Emeka, very inefficient and unproductive. Sorry.
I have just one thing to say.
Okay.
You done?
I mean, that was my big one. That's my big one. That's the one I care a lot about.
So when I want to go like focus intensely, so I write code. Like, I love to do that, and I use that to build backend systems for our business. And so what I do is I actually listen to subtle music. Like, usually it's like piano, classic, something that puts me at focus at whatever I'm doing. And it's very hard to distract me when I'm in the zone that way. And music, for me, tends to help. It can't have lyrics. If it has lyrics, then it throws me off. So like even anything with a beat, just like super subtle, not something that you're gonna party to. That really works for me.
Okay, quickly on that.
I know what he's gonna say. I know exactly.
I do the exact same thing, except I listen to White Noise. White Noise is my favorite song.
The biggest lesson I've learned with this year is the most important thing is environment. And for a lot of people, that means leaving their house and not working, especially if you live in a small apartment, not working where you sleep or not working where you relax, because you will not be mentally prepared to do like deep focus work in that space. So for me, like going to a co-working space, I said to everyone co-working spaces were stupid for the longest time. Going to a co-working space is the best investment I made this year.
Bro, same. I just started going to one weeks ago. My productivity is like so much better.
Environment is the biggest leverage you will get. Like, I can't remember who asked about like supplements or like caffeine dependency. I used to be really, really into like supplements and like nootropics and stuff. That stuff is like 1% of productivity. You might get the tiniest little gain, but the biggest gain will be going to sleep on time, waking up on time, and not working in the same room as your phone. Like, that's literally 90% of productivity.
On the environment thing specifically, the number one thing I want in my life right now, I've told a few people, is my own office. For the environment, I would do anything for my own office. I just want to explain a little bit about the schedule that Christian and I have while we were creating the 2.0 version of the course, which went from January to June. It took us 5 months working every single day, the both of us. We had our time scheduled so that the most important things for us were always scheduled in the morning, which is when we work at our best. So every single day for 5 months, it was basically 6 days a week. Yeah. 7 to 12 was coursework, eat food. Afternoon was videos and other kind of stuff. And then every evening, always off. But 7 to 12, coursework, nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. And or else you start working on so many different things at the same time, and then you make like 5% progress on each instead of 100% progress on one thing. Yeah.
I am definitely not the most structured person. Like, to hear your guys, like, your routine is awesome. But one thing that helps serve me, at the end of the day, you as an entrepreneur, your job to increase your hourly wage is to be working on revenue generating tasks. Whatever that looks like in your business, it comes down to priorities. So if somebody tells you they work 8 hours a day, it's bullshit. If you can actually get 2 hours a day worth of concentrated flow state work on the right task, you will smash other people that are doing 40 hours a week worth of bullshit. I don't know. I have not met a single person that can sit for 8 hours flow state. It's not realistic. It's bullshit. It really is. So if you can carve out 2 hours a day of flow state and figure out that one task that is revenue generating your company, everything else can be outsourced or hired out, but you need revenue in your company in order to do it. Like, I'm a shit manager. I'm not super organized. So hire somebody to take care of that shit. But if you can't generate income in your company, it doesn't matter. All the other back-end stuff doesn't matter. It's your job to inject enough cash to be able to afford everything else. So my feedback to you is figure out what those tasks are and increase your hourly wage. I gave him, what was it, the $200 an hour, right? I think is what I gave you as a target initially, hourly wage. So if you want to make 6 figures, right, there's 2,080 working hours in a year. So if you divide $100,000, it works out to be about $50 an hour, I think, right, if I did my math right. So the question you're asking yourself is this a $50 an hour task? If you want to make $1 million, then you've got to add a zero to it. My consulting rate is $1,000 an hour. So if it's not $1,000 an hour worth of value, it means that I don't deserve to make the money that I want to make. Like, does that make sense? So if you're stuck doing $3 an hour work, like, then you're not prioritizing properly. And the thing is, that menial stuff like you don't want to do, that's usually what burns you out. If you can stay in flow state on that high revenue task and excel at that, that's when your income's going to come up. Anyways, that's my feedback.
Cool. Next.
So I imagine that one of the some resistance to swapping might be that you're swapping your keyword. Yeah. So, like, I hear you guys say that, but I guess, can you help me understand why we shouldn't be afraid of that?
People will steal your keywords no matter what. And
just to add on to that, there are more customers on Amazon and Audible who want your books than there are quantity of books. So if there's like 2 books, 5 books, 10 books, there's enough customers to go around. And honestly, 90% of the books are terrible. So your book will be better.
And most 90% of people won't actually do anything. Yeah. Okay. Real quick, just it's not a zero-sum game where if 2 people publish similar books, where it's either one or the other, the same customer can purchase both books, right? I just want to make that's people often forget that or think the opposite.
And like you also have to understand that, like, if somebody's willing to steal your keyword because they're too lazy to do the work themselves, but you're putting in the effort like you're putting in, like with your covers and the brand you're building with your books and everything, they're not doing that work. So what are they going to do? They're going to get a couple sales, but then their book's going to drop because nobody's going to buy it because yours is outshining theirs because you've put in all that extra effort, right, with covers and everything. So
I guess so. My fear is that because I have been working quite slowly, it takes me a long time to edit and basically rewrite the 2 books that I have. So my fear is that people can act a lot faster than me, and that if I tell them, like, I won't have my next book out for 4 months, and they'll just have like 10 in 2 weeks, and then mine will just get buried.
I just think you're overthinking it. I wouldn't worry about that stuff.
Okay.
That's an example of an income destroying activity. Thinking about that helps absolutely no one. It just sabotages yourself and is stopping you from moving fast, producing income.
Yeah.
So shit like that.
The bestsellers list is you want to steal keywords, go to the bestsellers list on Amazon, and there you go. Those are the best-selling books. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, type in your niche, and you see ads that have been running. There you go. There's your keywords. So you're acting from a place of scarcity because you're afraid that somebody's is going to beat you, whatever that means. And to your point exactly, if you focus on creation every single day and just move the business forward every single day. The mantra within my company is 1% better every day. I recommended this book yesterday. It's James Clear, Atomic Habits. Everybody needs to read that book. 1% improvement every day over 60 days is a double, 2x. 1% better over 365 days is a 37x increase. So you need to win with consistency and putting stuff out. Like 1 book every 4 months, yeah, you're going to be holding on to it and be afraid. Just get out there and start creating value in your marketplace. There's nothing to worry about. That's like saying, oh, I'm afraid that people are going to steal my YouTube keywords. If it's a popular YouTube video, everybody's going to do the same YouTube video.
Same with creating Facebook ads. Just like that's the thing I'm super into right now. There's this website called Facebook Ads Library, which is made to go and steal other people's Facebook ads. And it's a platform. Facebook is providing it for people. When things work, other people are coming. We're just beating a dead rabbit now, but yeah. Like this is a very simple point, but just focus on your own thing and no one else. Don't think about anyone else. Don't bother anyone else. Don't ask it. Just focus on, in this case, your own books, and don't think about the other things like that.
So there's a lot of talk of like niching down, having a brand, and selling more products and stuff like that. I put out so many books and gone so wide all over the place. I've done a lot of shitty books in the past, but the ones that I'm doing through AIA seem really good now. But I'm not super passionate about anything. I've been kind of chasing keywords, but at the same time with the translations and different platforms and formats, I feel like I'm going to get to the 10K without doing any of the stuff that you would normally do. So I don't know if I want to go deeper into publishing beyond making that initial like seed money. So I guess my question is, beyond robbing myself of skills, like getting good with email and stuff like that, like, am I a bad person if I hit the 10K goal without doing it this way? You know what I mean?
I think one thing to be aware of is like once you make 10K, what are you going to do after that? And it's either you're going to have transferable skills or you're not going to have transferable skills. And if you don't have transferable skills, then you're just back to square one chasing the next business opportunity. Whereas if you do have transferable skills, if you move on to something else, you still at least have a base to go from.
A thing that I always say about publishing is that it's not going to make you a millionaire, so I don't treat it that way. It's just a starting business that can make you, if it makes you $5,000 every month, that's crazy. Like, that's amazing. And I have no passion for publishing. I don't like publishing itself. That's just the honest truth. I do like the training side of stuff. That's besides the point.
To me, it's an opportunity cost question, because, yeah, great. So let's say right now, this second, I give you $10,000 a month. By the time it's taxes and everything else is done, like, great, it's 3 or 4 grand you're maybe taking home. Is that really going to change your life? No. So the question is the time and energy that you're spending right now worth the wasted time? That's my only question to you. So if it is just to create some seed money to move on to another business, awesome. Then it serves you in your path, right? That's exactly it. But making it part of your end goal, whatever that looks like, great. You don't have to build a brand. Smash and grab business is fun. It's fun. But but make sure that it's congruent with what the next step is, and ask yourself, what is the opportunity cost of burning 2 years of your life and not getting the skills? Potentially. I don't have that answer, but it's an opportunity cost question in my mind.
So if you got into publishing strictly to make money and that's still like the reason, then don't even bother with the brand. Just do your thing, hit your target, and then move on to whatever it is that you actually want to do. Yeah.
Finalize that question. It's just the most important thing is publish quality books, right? It always has to come down to, as long as you're putting up quality books that people are going to get some sort of value from, because those days of spamming Amazon with crappy books, and that's garbage, right? And those are gone. Well, there's some people still do them, but quality books, you can feel good about what you're doing, right? If you're going to hit 10K, for a couple months and then move on to your next business, bro, do it. Like, it's totally cool. Totally cool. Yeah, last couple questions.
Question. Do you do anything differently for Q4?
No. Just publish more because more people are buying. That's it. Yeah. Publishing's a lot more than FBA or, yeah.
Mine was to kind of piggyback off Trevor's. So I'll eventually hit 10, 15K, but my biggest thing is for you guys is when you hit that, how did you figure out what you wanted to do next to use it as a stepping stone to move on to other businesses? How do you figure that out if you don't already?
It just happened naturally. There's no thing that we did. And then also, us for the last few months have also kind of been struggling, what's next for us? And then naturally, about this month, we figured it out. It just happened.
Don't overthink or overplan. All your goals and dreams, they're great, but they're just a compass. Just take the next step and then look and say okay, I think this is the next thing, and just keep moving forward. You're not gonna have all the answers. I don't have any of the answers. I had no idea I was gonna own an agency. None. I had no intention in doing this. So the answer is nobody's gonna know. Just keep taking action and make your best guess. That's my advice to you.
All right. Hello, everyone. Before we wrap it up, I have a question about problems. Do you guys have a specific way, or how do you guys identify problems in the market? Initially, when you guys started off, to figure out what your keyword was, because it sounds like sharing keywords is like a forbidden truth. No one wants to do that. So, is there anything particular that you guys did to, I'd say, okay, this is something I think is a market here where I want to go into and publish in?
So what I did, my first big niche was crypto. Shout out crypto niche. I literally looked at who's making the most money with crypto now, and they were Agora Financial, the company I mentioned in my speech. They were only doing crypto promotions, and they're doing $1 billion a year. So I figured if they're doing this and they're $1 billion a year company, why would there not be info products on Amazon? So just leverage higher income companies in that niche. There's 3 niches that will be evergreen for life. People are always going to want to lose weight. People are always going to want to make more money, and people always want to get mental clarity, so self-help. That's never going to go away. There's just always new waves and things that come up. So find the top people in those niches. Find the top people in weight loss. Find the top people in finance or make money. Find the top people in self-help. See what they're talking about. And then from there, just go where those customers hang out. For some people, it's like Facebook groups. For some people, it's Reddit. For some people, it's YouTube. And just read what people are saying and read how people are talking about their problems.
I got given great advice, and it was, it's far easier to take a small percentage of a massive pie than it is a large percentage of a small pie. So do not be afraid of big markets like crypto. Like what your advice was so bang on. Like you see somebody making $1 billion in something, go take a 0.1% of $1 billion versus trying to fight for 50% of 100 grand. Like, does that make sense? So you don't have to overthink it. Like you said, health, wealth, relationships, self-development, those are big buckets. If you find something that's selling well, just model success and do the same thing.
I have a question about VAs and project managers. Whenever I try to like scale any business past a certain point, I start bringing on VAs, and then my system kind of breaks before I even get a project manager in there. So I was wondering, what's your onboarding process, and how do you like basically teach your project manager once you bring them on? How do you teach them all the different moving components of your business? And also, do you pay them on like a monthly salary or by task?
How are you teaching?
Well, it's usually like I'll have a standard operating procedure.
In what format?
It'll be like a Google Doc.
Okay.
Videos.
Bro, man.
Well, actually, no. Sometimes I'll have videos with a tutorial kind of thing of me speaking over it. But then it's like, okay, now they can do the task, but eventually there needs to be a bridge between the menial tasks and starting to run it themselves.
So where do you think the breakdown is?
It's, I guess, that point of transition.
So what if you did a video of you doing that transition, and they just watched the video?
I know what he's trying to say.
I'm just, so what does he mean?
Tasks, it's ownership of a responsibility versus delegating tasks. That's what you're talking about with the transition, where you feel like they can just, like, okay, go do keywords or go do whatever. Like Abdul, in your case, is managing your business. It's ownership of a role and responsibility versus delegating tasks. So you need to empower that person to own, like owning that role, if that makes sense. I struggle with this too. So
especially when it comes to virtual assistants, like there's two positions in any company. There's growth and then there's maintenance. Like a VA is fundamentally a maintenance position. So you talk about transitioning from like menial tasks to more of an ownership role. That's a growth position now. So they need completely different sets of motivations. So like D1 was saying with the, you need to empower them to actually want to do that. Because you can't just say to someone, hey, you've been doing this maintenance stuff, now just do it but better.
What kind of incentives do you give them to?
If you want someone to be in a growth role, then they need a performance-based incentive usually. So like a cut of the profits, for example, is like the easiest thing you can do.
I just want to say one quick thing. It's good to keep in mind that not everybody can do a management position. So if you have someone that's doing like these little tasks and you want them to enter a management position, doesn't necessarily mean they can. Even if you train them and show them how to do that, they might not have what it takes to actually fulfill that role. So it's important that you do find someone that actually has like the leadership or the skills required to actually do that. They don't have to have the training for the specific task, but they have to have like a leadership or a management ability or a personality.
At least for publishing, do you pay them on like a monthly basis or just the manager?
Monthly, yeah.
How much?
5.
230. Apparently I'm cheap.
120.
Where are you getting your VAs?
It's whatever they agree to. I mean,
Abdul started at 150, and as he grew and the business grew and my income grew, I kept paying him more. And we were renegotiating after this event because he's taking on more tasks, helping with other businesses, so I'm going to pay him more. And I have to apparently keep up with his freaking friend who keeps getting a raise every week.
Yeah. So our publishing manager, assistant, whatever you want to call him, his name is Mahedi. We started out paying him $300 a month, then we raised to $400. We just last month, this is his first month, we pay him $500 a month. But he's not so much a publishing manager anymore because there's not too much publishing to do. So he does do some publishing stuff. Then he does some stuff for the girls as well. But now he works on our bigger business. So he now runs all customer support, is a Facebook group support assistant guy. Yes, that was that.
There's a book called Rockefeller Habits. It's a good book on building teams and systems.
Cool. I'll check it out. Thanks.
All right, let's give it up for them.